All right, let's talk about Robinhood, HOOD, which is a company at the center of today's update. So it's a US fintech platform best known for letting users trade stocks, options, and cryptocurrencies with zero commission through a user-friendly app. It rose to fame by appealing especially to first-time investors, most of them younger, and quickly became a symbol of democratizing finance. More recently, the company has evolved far beyond just being a trading app. It now offers retirement accounts, cash cards, and crypto wallets, aiming to become an all-in-one platform where users can manage their entire financial life in one place. Robinhood's earnings for Q1 2025 were especially impressive. Revenue jumped 50% year over year, and net income more than doubled. At the same time, the company rolled out a number of new products, including futures trading, prediction markets, and banking services. It also expanded its stock buyback program significantly. And yet, investors were disappointed recently. Why? Because Robinhood failed to make it into the S&P 500 index this time around. So where does this leave the company and its stock? Let's talk about it. Let's start with the numbers. For Q1 2025, Robinhood reported $927 million in revenue, which is up 50% from a year earlier. While it came in slightly below Wall Street expectations, the growth rate itself was still strong enough to draw attention. What really stood out was net income, $336 million, marking a 114% year-over-year increase. This shows that Robinhood is no longer just focused on growing its user base, but is also starting to generate consistent, meaningful profits. EPS, earnings per share, came in at $0.37, beating estimates by about 12%. So it's not just about growing the top line. The company is getting more efficient at turning revenue into profit. In this past quarter, Robinhood introduced a host of new features. The company rolled out futures trading and prediction markets, launched a pre-built investing tool called Robinhood Strategies, and expanded its banking services. Trading volumes for stocks, options, and crypto all hit record highs. Customer net profits surged past $18 billion, reinforcing the platform's credibility among users. On the M&A front, Robinhood acquired Trade PMR, which is an independent advisor platform, adding $41 billion in assets. It's also on track to finalize its acquisition of European crypto exchange Bitstamp. All of this points to Robinhood's ambition to become a full-spectrum financial platform that spans both traditional and emerging finance. Now, CEO Vlad Tenev struck a confident tone during the earnings call, highlighting strong customer adoption of new features like the Robinhood Gold Card, futures, and prediction markets. CFO Jason Warnick emphasized the company's impressive profitability metrics, namely a 72% incremental margin and its operational discipline. He also confirmed that the company has already repurchased $667 million worth of its own shares and plans to extend that to a total of $1.5 billion. Stock buybacks are generally seen as a bullish sign, suggesting that a company believes its shares are undervalued and is confident in future growth. That's good news for shareholders. So what caused the recent disappointment? Like I said, despite the strong numbers, Robinhood was not included in the latest rebalancing of the S&P 500 index, which tracks the 500 largest and most influential companies in the US. Getting included in this index is often a big deal. It can trigger significant demand from institutional investors and ETFs that track the index. What made this, sting even more was that Coinbase, another fast-growing fintech name, was recently added to the index and saw a boost in its stock price. With that context, many had expected Robinhood to follow suit, especially after Bank of America called it a strong candidate for inclusion. But when the news came that Robinhood didn't make the cut, many investors were let down, leading to a wave of short-term selling. That said, the drop wasn't due to poor fundamentals. It was more of a technical pullback. The stock even started to recover toward the end of the trading session. Now, despite the S&P 500 setback, Robinhood stock has been on a tear is up more than 200% over the past year and has doubled since April alone. That kind of rally can always invite a bit of correction. But the fact that the stock held up fairly well after missing out on the index shows that there's still strong underlying demand from investors. Analyst sentiment also remains mostly positive. Of those covering the stock, 14 have a buy rating, 5 are at hold, and just 1 has a sell recommendation. But it's worth noting that the average price target is around $65, below where the stock is currently trading. So, what's the outlook going forward? Well, Robinhood's recent results show a company that's maturing, growing both its revenue and profits while expanding its product lineup and buying back shares. All of this lays the groundwork for long-term value creation. Still, investors should be mindful of a few risks. First, Robinhood is highly dependent on market activity. If trading volume drops, so does revenue. Second, the regulatory landscape, especially around crypto, remains uncertain, even though the SEC recently dropped the investigation into Robinhood crypto. Third, there's integration risk. If the trade PMR and Bitstamp acquisition don't go smoothly, that could lead to internal friction or increased cost. So the bottom line is that Robinhood is evolving. It's no longer just a meme stock darling. It's building a real multidimensional fintech business. The company still has risk ahead, but the fundamentals are improving fast. The question now is, how far can the stock HOD go from here? So if you're a shareholder or thinking about becoming one, this may be the time to take a closer look and decide whether Robinhood's next chapter is one worth riding. All right, so leave your thoughts by writing comments, and if you haven't already, hit the subscription button and then hit the like button, leave comments, and hit that notification bell. All right, see you guys later. Peace.